Welcome back to Jack English Learning Podcast. I'm Jack, and today we are diving deep into the psychology of people who don't use social media.
I'm Sarah. We are looking at the psychology of people who, just opt out. And if you stay with us until the end, you probably won't need to look this topic up again because we're going to cover it in, full detail.
I had this moment the other day that I think really sets the stage for this whole conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I was in that corner coffee shop, the one with the exposed brick, and the coffee's way too expensive.
Yeah, the best spot for some amateur sociology.
Exactly. And I'm just watching. In the middle of the room, there's a table of 4 friends, and it was kind of exhausting to watch.
Uh-huh.
They were taking photos of their pastries, then photos of themselves with the pastries, and they're all huddled like debating filters. It was a whole production.
Performance economy in real time.
Totally.
Right.
But then I looked over to the window seat, and there was this one guy. Let's call him the quiet person. He had his coffee. He had a book, a real paper book, and he just sat there. He'd take a sip, look out the window at a dog walking by. He smiled, just to himself.
And that was it.
That was it. He wasn't documenting the dog. He wasn't capturing the perfect shot of the steam from his coffee. He was just being.
And that kind of person creates such a strong reaction in us now, doesn't it?
It really does.
A few years ago, we might have thought, oh, they're missing out. They're behind the times.
Yeah, you'd think they were a Luddite or maybe just, antisocial. But I looked at him, and then I looked back at that table, stressing over lighting, and I just thought, that guy looks happier.
Freer.
Yeah, freer. That's the word.
And that's a huge shift. We've got a massive stack of research we're going through today, from sociological theory back in the 50s to modern studies on digital boundaries.
Right.
And they all seem to point to the same thing, that silence isn't a deficit. It's not about what they're lacking.
So it's about what they have.
Exactly. It's about what they're protecting. And we're going to explore this idea that this choice, this silence, is actually a kind of power move, a really sophisticated psychological strategy for emotional regulation.
Okay, power move. I like that framing.
Yeah.
But can I push back on that for a second?
Please.
Is it really a power move? Or is it just hiding? Because I can hear someone listening right now thinking, well, if you don't post, maybe you're just afraid of what people will say.
That's the million-dollar question. And I think the difference comes down to intent.
Intent, okay.
Hiding is reactive. You're running away from judgment. What we're talking about today, for the true non-user, is proactive. It's a choice to preserve your energy, not just leak it everywhere.
Proactive versus reactive, I get that. So before we get into the really deep stuff, and we are going deep, talking Goffman and self-determination theory, I want to throw a question out to you, listening right now.
A good one.
Think about a specific moment. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you took a photo of something beautiful, a sunset, a great meal, whatever, but you didn't post it?
Not even to a group chat, just for you.
Exactly, just kept it on your phone.
Yeah.
How did that feel compared to when you posted something similar? Did it feel less real, or did it feel more yours?
Just hold on to that feeling, because that's the thread we're going to be pulling on for this whole deep dive.
And it connects right into our first big psychological point, the idea of validation and what sociologists call the mask.
The mask, it sounds very dramatic.
It does, but it's not about superheroes. It's actually a concept from a sociologist named Erving Goffman, way back in 1959.
Right, the presentation of self in everyday life, a classic.
And what stood out to me from that was how it's not about being fake. I have my podcast host voice right now. It's different from how I talk to my friends.
Of course.
And Goffman says that's not being two-faced. That's just being human.
Exactly. He argued that all social interaction is a kind of performance. We have a front stage, that's us right now, or you at a dinner party. And then we have a backstage, that's you in your pajamas, eating cereal over the sink. The mask is just the role we play to make the world work smoothly.
Okay, so if we've always worn these masks, why is social media so different? Why is my Instagram profile any worse than me just being polite to my boss?
Because social media collapses the stage. It breaks down the walls between your different performances.
Collapses the stage, what do you mean?
Well, in the physical world, your boss mask and your best friend mask probably never have to be in the same room at the same time.
Right, you keep them separate.
But on social media, the mask is suddenly on this huge permanent stage with a global audience. Your boss is there, your mom is there, your ex is there.
That guy you met at a conference 5 years ago.
Exactly. And that creates this huge psychological load. You're trying to perform for all these different often contradictory audiences at the same time.
And that leads to what you call the gap.
Yes, the gap. It's that tiny moment, or sometimes it's 10 minutes of hesitation between taking a photo and actually hitting post.
I know the gap. I live in the gap.
We all do. And in that gap, your mind isn't just thinking, is this a nice photo? It's running this incredibly complex social calculation.
Will this make me look smart? Is it too braggy? Will my aunt get offended by this?
Will my friends be jealous? It's a whole algorithm. And it is emotional labor. It's work.
It really feels like work sometimes. I've deleted so many posts because I just stared at them and thought, is this on brand for me?
And that's where we can bring in something called self-determination theory. It's a huge framework in psychology about what motivates us.
Okay.
It basically says we need 3 core things to be happy: competence, relatedness, and autonomy.
And I'm guessing autonomy is the big one here.
It's the key. Autonomy is that feeling that you are the author of your own life,
Yeah.
that your choices are based on your own internal values.
But the social media feedback loop kind of outsources that, right?
It completely outsources it. You stop asking, do I like this? And you start asking, will they like this? Your sense of self becomes dependent on external validation.
So the non-user, the quiet person in the coffee shop, he's basically reclaimed his autonomy.
Yes, he's operating on internal validation. He sees the cute dog, he thinks, that's a cute dog, and that's the end of it. The loop is closed internally.
He doesn't need 50 likes to confirm that the dog was in fact cute.
He doesn't. And that idea of closing the loop is so powerful. By not posting, you keep the energy of that moment for yourself. When you post it, you're kind of leaking it out for public consumption.
You're turning a memory into content.
You're commodifying it. And once it's a commodity, its value gets set by the market, by the likes and comments.
That's terrifying. I mean, if you post a beautiful sunset and it gets 0 likes, a part of you actually starts to question if it was a good sunset.
Exactly. The memory itself feels cheaper. That's the loss of internal validation. The non-user protects that internal value like a fortress.
Okay, let's do a little check-in with everyone listening. Time for an interactive question.
Let's do it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, and be really honest with yourself, how much does your mood depend on how people react to your news online?
So, if you post something you're proud of and it gets no engagement, does your mood drop? Just pause and give yourself a number.
And don't judge whatever number comes up. If it's an 8, it's an 8. Just knowing is the first step.
Absolutely. Awareness is how you start to reclaim that autonomy.
You know, that whole idea of internal validation, it actually leads perfectly into our next point. It's about how we see our lives and our time.
Right. It's this fundamental conflict between a state of becoming and a state of arriving.
Or, as people might know it, FOMO versus JOMO. Fear of missing out versus the joy of missing out.
No, but we want to go a bit deeper than the acronyms. We want to look at the psychology of constantly becoming.
Now, becoming sounds like a good thing, right? If I'm becoming a better person, I'm becoming healthier. What's the problem with that?
The problem is when it becomes your default state, when it's a chronic dissatisfaction with the present moment. The whole digital world is built to sell us on optimization. You see people with better jobs, better bodies, better vacations. So we feel this constant pressure to be becoming something else, someone better. We're never just here.
It's the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
I feel this all the time. I'll listen to a productivity podcast, which I know is ironic, and I feel like if I'm not optimizing every second of my morning, I'm already failing.
And that feeling of falling behind creates this low-level constant anxiety you're always chasing. It's what we call the sleepless optimizer.
Oh, I think I know this person.
Yeah.
I might be this person sometimes.
Tell us about the sleepless optimizer.
This is the person whose life is like a logistics problem. They get up at 4:30 a.m., not because they're a morning person, but because they saw some CEO does it. They listen to audiobooks at 2x speed just to download the data. They track every calorie. They sacrifice sleep because sleep isn't productive.
And what's the emotion underneath all of that? It's fear. It's the fear that I am not enough as I am right now.
And that brings us to the other side of the coin. Arriving. Now, playing devil's advocate again, does arriving just mean giving up?
Like complacency.
Yeah. Is the guy in the coffee shop just resigned? Well, I've arrived, I'm done trying.
No, and that's the biggest misconception about JOMO, the joy of missing out. Arriving doesn't mean you stop having ambitions. It means you shift your focus. You move from chasing the future result to valuing the present process. It's actually a tool for emotional regulation.
Emotional regulation. Can you break that down?
When you're constantly in becoming mode, you're in a subtle fight or flight state. You're always striving, always vigilant. When you embrace arriving, you're signaling safety to your own mind.
You're saying, it's okay, I have enough, I'm enough, right here, right now.
It's the difference between running because you're being chased and running just because you enjoy the feeling of running.
That's a great analogy.
The Gemma person might go to bed early, not out of laziness, but because they value rest and recovery over squeezing in one more productive hour. They value depth over breadth.
Depth over breadth. That's it. Social media is all about infinite breadth, knowing a little about 1,000 people. Arriving is about knowing yourself deeply.
And that connects to so many older philosophies, Stoicism, Buddhism. They all say that suffering comes from that gap between where you are and where you think you should be.
So the non-user just closes that gap by refusing to look at everyone else's shoulds.
They just step off the treadmill, and that's incredibly liberating.
Hey, if you're enjoying this analysis of JOMO and the psychology of self-worth, make sure to subscribe on our platform. We put out more psychology episodes like this all the time.
We do. We love getting into the why behind what we all do.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about the internal world validation, time, ambition. Now I want to talk about something much more tangible: safety, security.
And this comes from a really fascinating piece of research we found, looking at migration and the concept of boundary work.
This was my favorite part of the research because it's so unexpected. It's a study of Hong Kong migrants moving to the UK.
And listeners might be thinking, what does that have to do with me wanting to quit an app?
Right. But the psychological connection is surprisingly deep.
It is. The study looked at how people use technology during a massive, stressful life transition. They're leaving one political reality and entering a new one. And for them, disconnection wasn't an accident. It was a survival strategy.
They called it a disconnection assemblage.
Which is a very academic term.
It is. So what does assemblage actually mean in real life?
It means they don't see tech as a simple on or off switch. They see it as a toolkit. They assemble and disassemble their digital lives based on what feels safe. They treat different apps like different rooms with different locks.
The study mentioned one person in particular, Respondent 4. His story really stuck with me.
Oh, Respondent 4 is a perfect example. He's a man in his 30s, moved to the UK, but still has family and friends back home.
And to manage that, he physically carried 2 separate mobile phones.
2 phones? It sounds like something out of a spy movie.
It does. But for him, it was about creating emotional and political safety.
Exactly. Phone A was his UK phone. It had his UK SIM card, WhatsApp, Google Maps, his new life identity.
And phone B.
Phone B had his Hong Kong SIM card, and this is the crucial part, it had WeChat.
An app that has, known surveillance issues.
Right. He felt that just having that app on his main phone was a risk. Either a data risk or just a psychological tie to a system he was trying to leave behind. He created a physical air gap between his 2 lives.
That is next-level boundary work. But it illustrates the point perfectly. For him, connection equaled vulnerability. So disconnection equaled safety.
And even if most of us aren't political migrants, we all experience what the researchers call context collapse.
Context collapse. We touched on this earlier. The boss, the mom, and the ex all being in the same digital room.
Think of it like a wedding. You know why weddings can be so stressful.
Because everyone you've ever known is there at once.
Exactly. Your college friends are there, your conservative grandma is there, your boss is there. You have no idea which mask to wear. That is context collapse. And social media is a 247 wedding that you can never leave.
That is the most terrifyingly accurate analogy I've ever heard.
The assemblage strategy is just a way of separating those rooms again. The non-user creates hard boundaries. I only use this app for this specific group, or I am not on that platform at all. It's about reducing the noise.
So you can actually hear yourself think.
Right. There was another person in the study, Respondent 8, who just went completely dark when political tensions got high.
He became a lurker.
Yes, but it wasn't passive. He wasn't just being lazy. Silence was his shield. He knew anything he said could be misinterpreted or used against him, so silence became his armor.
It really reframes things like ghosting or disappearing online. We tend to see it as rude.
Why didn't you reply?
Yeah. But for people going through a crisis, a breakup, grief, a job loss, disconnection, is how they create a safe space to heal.
You can't heal properly if you're constantly performing your recovery for an audience.
So a question for you listening. Do you have a safe space that is completely offline? A hobby, a place, a relationship that the internet knows nothing about?
And if the answer is no, maybe ask yourself, where do you go to be completely unobserved? Because if you're observed everywhere, you're never truly alone.
Okay, that brings us to our fourth point. This one is about our relationship with stuff, with things.
Materialism.
Yeah.
And how the non-user often sidesteps the trap of always wanting more. We're calling this voluntary simplicity.
And to really get this, we have to tell the story of the Diderot effect.
Oh, I love this story. It's such a perfect little tragedy.
It is. So Denis Diderot was this brilliant but broke French philosopher in the 1700s.
Right.
He's living his humble life. Then one day, a benefactor gives him a huge sum of money. And Diderot decides to treat himself. He buys a beautiful, expensive scarlet robe.
A very fancy dressing gown.
The fanciest. He puts it on, looks in the mirror, feels like $1 million, and then he looks around his shabby apartment.
And the downward spiral begins.
He looked at his old, worn-out rug and thinks, this rug is an insult to my magnificent robe.
Oh.
So he buys a new, expensive rug. Then he looks at his simple wooden chair and thinks, this chair is too plain for this rug and this robe. So he buys a fancy leather chair.
And it just kept going.
It spiraled completely out of control. He replaced his desk, his paintings, everything. He ended up in debt, sitting in this perfectly curated room that didn't even feel like his anymore, all because of the robe.
He wrote an essay about it. He said, I was the absolute master of my old dressing gown, but I have become the slave of my new one.
And that, right there, is the Instagram algorithm.
It is. You see a photo as a perfectly organized pantry. So you buy the clear plastic bins, then your cereal boxes look ugly in the bins, so you buy matching glass jars. Then your shelves look old.
Yeah.
It's the Diderot effect on hyperdrive.
So the person practicing voluntary simplicity, they just refuse to buy the robe in the first place.
Or they buy the robe and they don't care that it doesn't match the chair. They practice what some researchers call objective comprehension.
That sounds very technical.
It just means they look at an object and see its function, not its story. A phone is for making calls, not a status symbol. A chair is for sitting, not a reflection of your personal brand.
So if their old phone still works, they just keep the old phone. They don't get sucked into the upgrade cycle.
No, don't. And just think about the mental energy that saves. We talk about decision fatigue. Every time you scroll a feed, you're making hundreds of tiny decisions. Do I like this? Do I want this? Can I afford this? Am I a failure for not having this?
It's exhausting. It just drains your battery.
It drains it massively. By opting out of that constant consumer showcase, the non-user saves that mental energy for things they actually value, like introspection or real connection.
It's funny, we might see them as boring for not chasing trends, but really they're just being incredibly efficient with their mental resources.
Oh, exactly.
Finding this breakdown helpful, like this episode, to help more people find the show and to get more topics like this, it genuinely helps us out.
It really does.
Okay, let's make all this theory really concrete. Let's do a mini case study. We're going to invent a character. Let's call him Alex.
Okay, tell me about Alex.
Alex is a high achiever. He's been working like crazy at his corporate job for years. And finally, he gets the big one. Promotion. Senior VP, big salary bump, corner office, the whole deal.
The dream scenario for a lot of people.
Right. Now, what's the first impulse for most of us in that situation? The thumb starts twitching.
You're already drafting the LinkedIn post in your head, humbled and honored to announce.
Exactly. Or the Instagram story with the champagne bottle emoji.
Yep.
Like a ritual.
It is. The public announcement.
But Alex, he does none of it. He goes home. He tells his partner over dinner. He calls his parents. He texts his two best friends.
Yeah.
That's it.
Silence.
Total silence. To the rest of the world, Alex just had a normal Tuesday.
So how does that make you feel when you hear that? Your honest gut reaction.
Honestly, a little part of me thinks it's weird, or maybe even arrogant. Like, well, I'm too good to tell everyone. Or I start to wonder, did it even really happen if there's no proof?
See, that's the performance economy conditioning talking. But let's break down what Alex is actually doing psychologically.
Okay. My first thought is he's avoiding the comparison trap. He knows if he posts, he's inviting envy, he's inviting judgment, and he just doesn't want that energy.
That's definitely part of it. But I think it goes even deeper. I think for Alex, this is about choosing intimacy over performance.
Intimacy over performance.
By telling only 5 people, he's turned that news into a gift for them.
A gift. How so?
He's saying to those 5 people, I am sharing this special information with you because you are important to me. It deepens those specific relationships. If he broadcasts it to 5,000 people, it stops being personal. It just becomes a press release.
A gift versus a press release. That's
Okay.
a really powerful way to put it.
And there's this concept called the vulnerability hangover. You know, that shaky, overexposed feeling you get after you share something really personal online?
Oh, absolutely. Why did I post that feeling the next morning?
Alex avoids that completely. He's protecting the feeling of the success itself. When you keep a victory private, you get to just sit in the pure emotion of, I did this. When you post it, the emotion immediately shifts to, look how many people liked that I did this.
He's keeping the value internal instead of trading it for external metrics.
He's keeping his own battery charged.
Okay, but let's be realistic. Being Alex is hard. People push back. They expect you to be online. So I think we need to do a boundary script role play.
Yes, I love these.
I'm going to be the annoying, pressuring a role I was born to play. And I want you to show us how to set a boundary firmly but kindly. Because that's the real fear, right? We don't want to come off as a jerk.
Exactly. Firm but kind. Let's do it.
Okay, scenario 1. We're at a party. I've got my phone out. Hey, get in this photo. I'm going to post this and tag you in everything. Everyone needs to see what a great time we're having.
You know, I'm actually keeping my digital footprint super low right now, so please don't tag me. But definitely send the photo to me directly. I'd love to have it.
Ooh, that was smooth. You used a technical sounding phrase, digital footprint, and you validated my desire for the photo. Very good.
You don't reject the person, you just reject the public platform.
All right, scenario 2. The peer pressure. Oh my God, you have to get on this new app. The entire group chat is on it. You're missing all the inside jokes. You have to get it.
I'm honestly at my screen time limit lately, so I'm skipping this one. But you have to fill me in on all the good stuff when we grab coffee.
The pivot. Fill me in.
It confirms that I value you and our connection. I just don't have the capacity for another app. It's about my limits, not about rejecting them.
Okay, last one. The guilt trip. Hey, I sent you a message yesterday and I saw you were online, but you didn't reply. Is everything okay? Are you mad at me?
Oh, not at all. I usually use my phone for work during the day, so I try not to check personal messages until the evening. I really appreciate you waiting.
I appreciate you waiting. That's a Jedi mind trick right there. It's so much better than, I'm sorry I took so long.
Never apologize for having a boundary. Apologizing implies you did something wrong. You didn't. You were just living your life.
I love those.
Yeah.
Everyone listening, seriously, write that one down. I appreciate you waiting.
It's a game changer.
Okay, speaking of practical things, let's give our listeners some actual tools they can use. We've done the theory, we've done the scripts. Let's talk habits.
3 tools for self-protection.
Tool number 1 is something I've started doing, and it's called the 24-hour post-pause.
So this is basically impulse control training.
It is. The other day, my sports team lost on a really bad call from the referee. I immediately typed out this, let's call it a very passionate tweet.
I can imagine.
It was angry. It was probably unfair. But I forced myself to wait. I saved it as a draft. The next morning, I woke up, read it, and I sounded like a complete maniac.
And you deleted it.
Deleted it so fast. That's the power of the pause. If the urge is gone in 24 hours, it was just an impulse. If you still feel it's important to share, it's more likely to be for genuine connection.
I love that. Okay, tool number 2. The gratitude audit. This comes from that JOMO idea.
Right.
Social media trains your brain to constantly scan for what you don't have. The gratitude audit rewires it to see what you do have.
So how do you do it?
It's simple. Before you open a single app in the morning, just identify one thing you have right now that you're grateful for. It can be tiny. I have a warm cup of coffee. My bed is comfortable.
She shifts your brain from scarcity to abundance.
Exactly. You physically cannot feel envious and grateful at the exact same moment. It's a mental circuit breaker.
Okay, tool number 3, geolocation hygiene. This links back to that safety and privacy point.
Turn off location services for your social media apps and stop tagging your precise location in real time.
Why is that so important beyond the obvious safety risks?
It's psychological. When you're constantly mapping your own location for others, you're performing your life's geography. You're turning your movement into data for public view.
And never just moving through the world.
Right. When you turn it off, you reclaim the where of your life as private. You can just exist in a place without announcing it. It gives you back that sense of being unobserved.
Move like a ghost. I like that.
Move like a ghost.
All right, we're nearing the end, but we have to tackle a few big myths. Let's do a quick myth versus facts segment.
Let's bust some myths.
Myth number 1. Social media is the single cause of all teen mental health problems. We hear this all the time.
It's the big, scary headline. But the actual science is much more nuanced. A huge review by researchers at Oxford found no clear causal link. They said the effect is context dependent.
Meaning it's not as simple as phone bad.
Not at all. It depends entirely on how it's being used. Active use messaging your friends, collaborating on a project can be neutral or even positive. The harm almost always comes from passive use.
Doom scrolling, the endless comparison game.
Exactly. It's not the tool itself, it's the passivity that's often harmful.
Okay, myth number 2. People who track their lives, their steps, their calories, their reading are all narcissists.
Right, that they're just self-obsessed. But we found a paper that looked at the personality traits of self-trackers. And the strongest link wasn't to narcissism, it was to conscientiousness.
So it's about self-improvement, not showing off.
For the most part, yes. A narcissist needs an audience. A conscientious person needs data to improve. Now, if you're posting a screenshot of your 5 a.m. run every single day for applause, that might be leaning a bit more toward narcissism.
The intent matters.
Always.
Final one. Myth number 3. People who aren't on social media must be lonely.
This is a big one. And the fact is, non-users often do have fewer friends, statistically, but they consistently report having deeper, higher quality relationships. It's the classic quality over quantity argument. We can only really maintain about 150 meaningful connections. Non-users just accept that limit and invest deeply in a smaller number of people.
They're choosing the friends who will answer the phone at 2 a.m. over the 300 people who will give a thumbs up to a birthday post.
And I think deep down, that's what most of us really want.
This has been such a deep dive. We've gone from French philosophy to modern migration studies. Let's try to recap the absolute key takeaways for everyone.
Okay, if you want to master your own psychology, a great first step is to subscribe on our platform for more deep dives like this one. But for today, here's the cheat sheet.
Go for it.
1. Silence is a power move for internal validation. Learn to close the feedback loop yourself instead of outsourcing your self-worth.
2. Embrace JOMO, the joy of missing out. It's about shifting from always becoming to being content with arriving. It's a way to calm your whole system down.
And 3. Treat disconnection as boundary work. You don't have to delete everything, but you should be the one who decides which doors are locked and which are open.
And remember Alex from our case study. You can have the success without the press release. The private feeling is often so much better than the public metric.
I just want to leave everyone with one final thought. Psychology seems to suggest that the people who don't post aren't the ones missing out. They might be the only ones who are actually fully living in the moment. The sunset is always more beautiful when you're not trying to photograph it. You're just in it.
That is the perfect lead-in to our weekly listener challenge. This one is simple, but I think it might be really uncomfortable for some people.
We challenge you this week to choose one event, a nice meal you cook, a small success at work, a beautiful walk you take.
And tell absolutely no one on the internet. Don't post it, don't put it in a story, don't even send a picture to the group chat. Keep it entirely for yourself.
And just notice how the memory feels. Does it feel less significant or does it feel more solid, more yours?
Just try it and join us next time where we are going to explore the psychology of main character energy.
Is it healthy confidence or is it just delusion? That's going to be a fun one.
Until then, stay curious.
And maybe, just maybe, stay a little quiet.